My husband was kidnapped from our home, and it's shameful that the United States government continues to...
A pro-Palestinian activist who helped lead Columbia University student protests is going to remain in ICE custody, at least for now. Supporters of Mahmoud Khaliel lined up outside the courthouse in New York this morning, demanding his release. Ahead of the hearing, his lawyers said Khaliel's green card had been revoked by the Trump administration. The judge today made no further decisions on the deportation.
Yeah, Brianna, Boris, we had gone into this hearing sort of expecting that it would be somewhat procedural, and that's actually what happened. The judge instructed both parties to go ahead and file the motions that they intend to file and essentially come back to him in a few days. So we did not get any new information about how the government is justifying the arrest of Khaliel. And the judge did not make a decision today on whether or not he should be released. That matter was not before him today. The one thing he did agree to today was that Khaliel has so far had a very difficult time having access to his lawyers, something that his attorneys talked about in court today. They said, quote, "We literally have not been able to confer with our client once since he was taken off the streets of New York City." The judge listened to that argument and asked the government to work with them to make sure that they can have access, specifically privileged calls that are not being monitored by the government. Now, we are expecting the parties to file their motions. The government is making an argument that the state of New York does not have jurisdiction over this matter because Khaliel was first detained in New Jersey and then transferred to Louisiana, where he is now. The judge encouraged the Khaliel attorneys to sort of agree to have the jurisdiction matter resolved so that things can sort of get moving forward. We also heard from the wife of Khaliel in the form of a statement that she issued. It was read on her behalf, and I want you to just take a listen to how she's been describing the past few days.
My husband was kidnapped from our home, and it's shameful that the United States government continues to hold him because he stood for the rights and lives of his people. I demand his immediate release and return to our family. His disappearance has devastated our lives, and yet we are not alone. So many who know and love Mahmoud have come together, refusing to stay silent. Their support is a testament to his character and to the deep injustice of what is being done to him.
There's a lot to digest here, but from your understanding, what is the ruling and the significance of what a judge in New York has said now about this case?
Well, in court today, the judge was dealing with the emergency motion for Mr. Khaliel's legal team to have more access to him. As you know, the Trump administration illegally detained and arrested Mr. Khaliel, a lawful permanent resident of the United States and a Columbia University student. They whisked him away from his pregnant wife, his family, and his community in New York City, and transported him to an ICE detention center in Louisiana, initially without permitting him contact with his wife or his attorneys. Now, the Trump administration, as you said, admittedly is trying to deport Mr. Khaliel because of his speech and protest in support of the human rights of Palestinians. The government admits that he has not broken any laws, and instead they're invoking this obscure immigration law that provides that the Secretary of State may designate someone for deportation if the government has reasonable ground to believe that their presence has a potentially serious adverse effect on foreign policy for the United States.
Okay.
Now, this is completely, yes.
I want to play what Secretary of State Rubio said to exactly your point just earlier today. He said, this is not about freedom of speech. It's not about that. He also said, I have the right to revoke anything, as you said, if it violates our foreign policy standards, etc. This is what he said, and I'm going to play it.
If you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa, I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities, I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would.
Right, so he's laid all that out. Of course, if we were to tell him that, then clearly we would not be accepted in the United States. But what he's saying is that, it seems to me, I want to know how you as a legal expert view that. He's essentially suggesting that this all applies to Mahmoud Khalil, and yet there have been no charges leveled against him to touch any of those accusations. Am I correct?
You are correct, Christian. And here's the problem with what Secretary Rubio and President Trump are saying. The First Amendment protects everyone in the United States, and the government cannot single someone out for any kind of punishment, including deportation, simply because of the position that he's taken in protest and in exercising his rights under the First Amendment. Secretary Rubio is simply wrong to try to read that immigration law in a way that is inconsistent with the fundamentals of American life in the First Amendment.
So again, he's staying there. The judge today ruled he has to stay in detention in Louisiana, but that his legal team, which apparently hadn't had any contact, physical contact, until now, will be able to have more contact with him. But the question is, his lawyers obviously denied that he was supporting Hamas. He is a Palestinian university activist. He was at these protests, but they deny that he was sending out Hamas pamphlets or supporting Hamas. So, again, what is the problem here, and what is the bigger picture?
The basic problem is, number one, the Trump administration is trying to smear Mahmoud Khalil and with a completely baseless charge about what it is that he said. But more fundamentally, the problem with what the government is trying to do is that they are, regardless of the truth or falsity of what their charges are on the facts, the First Amendment protects Mr. Khalil's right, and everyone in the United States, all of our rights, to say what we believe, to protest whatever we like to protest. And it is completely contrary to the First Amendment and to our basic fundamentals of American life and American democracy for the government to do this. In detaining and in trying to deport Mahmoud Khalil, what the Trump administration is doing is not just attacking him and his family. They're not just attacking immigrants. They are attacking a fundamental American right. And I'd add, Christian, that this is part of a larger pattern, a very disturbing pattern of the Trump administration's actions against people he considers to be his political enemies or disfavored minorities. Whether Trump is going after transgender youth or immigrants or pursuing his policy objectives, when he starts to punish people and censor people and try to chill Americans' rights to speak out against him, he's attacking all of us and our constitutional values. Mm-hmm. And this is a very disturbing, large step toward an authoritarian government. And I think that we will start to see Americans across the ideological spectrum, from left to right, regardless of party, regardless of ideology. The Trump administration and Donald Trump are going way too far here.